It's the news on the Motorhome Caravan show. How are we?
Good morning.
How are you?
All right, okay. So we'll crack on with the news. First item, Beck's Motorhomes.
Yep, so Beck's, they're a very long-standing company. They've been around since, I think, the late 70s, something like that. They ceased trading in December of last year. I don't think they went bankrupt or anything like that. They just wound it down. Unfortunately, they wound it down a little bit too much because in 2019, they'd over-ordered stock. So they wound that right down just to compact the business, and unfortunately, winded it down too much. Doesn't help because you really needed the stock in 2020 because of the boom.
And there's been a massive...
I find it strange, Mark, a big motorhome company going bust in boom time.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like I was just about to say, and there's been a massive boom just when they could have done with all the stock, and they've not got it. And that's the issue, and that's going to be the issue possibly this year with a lot of places. Is you can't sell fresh air. If you haven't got it, you can't sell it. All the costs are still there, so it could be testing times out there this year.
Do you think it's going to happen to a lot of the big dealers?
I really do. I mean, I'm just going to reel out some numbers here. So, Marquis, 13 branches, 127 in stock. That's less than 10 a branch. Brownhills, 15 in stock. That's just over 10. Well, that's obviously 15 per branch. Don Amot's, they're mid-20s in used motorhomes. Travel World, 15. Loudham's, 2 branches, 15. That's well less than 10 in stock per branch. And then Spinney, 26 motorhomes across 3 depots. That is absolutely terrifying for those companies. Because if you think about it, last year when we came out of lockdown, everybody was 80-90% stocked up. Which is fair to say, isn't it? So there's plenty of motorhomes across the board. We've had winter, and that's still the stock levels now. I don't know how they're going to be able to sort things out because they ain't replacing them.
And the issue is as well, the new stuff isn't coming through quick enough. So normally they'd be selling the new to get the part exchanges and you get that snowball effect there. The new's not coming through quick enough, and then with all the new people as well that are coming to market, the part X's aren't there. So it's a strange time because it's booming, absolutely booming, but if you haven't got the stuff to sell, you can't pay the overheads.
Well, just take, was it Marcus with 13 branches?
Yes.
How the hell are you going to stock all that up, Mark?
It's not going to happen overnight, is it? It could take 12 months, 2 years to get to where the stock levels were.
Well, that's without selling anything.
Exactly, yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I think it's going to be 2 years because if you think about it, we've just gone off a busy year, got into 2 lockdowns, in one major one down, and they're actually no better than they were in the summer.
No.
September, October. They were talking 10 a branch all the way through the season. Yeah, we just had winter when you should be stocking up, and they still haven't got it.
No. The problem is the overheads are still the same. They might have been okay this year because of the furlough. They could furlough an awful lot of the staff, but that ends soon. So
you've got to look at the other way though as well. The prices are rising for retail, but they're going to hit a ceiling, aren't they? But the prices are rising to buy them.
Yeah, so
the margins.
Our margin is exactly the same, isn't it? It's not changed. People look at the price and go, "Oh, this is a brilliant time that they're making a fortune, these dealers." But we're not. We're making the same amount of margin as we ever have, but we're just having to pay huge amounts more. So the problem is we're not making more per unit. We're still making the same amount per unit. So if we're not selling the same as what we normally are, there's only one way to go, and that's closing the doors, massive redundancies, cutting back on staff.
Do you think this is the death of the salesman?
It is and it isn't. It is because if you haven't got the stock and you sat there with 10 salespeople and you've only got 10 vans to sell, you obviously can't have 10 salesmen to sell 10 vans. The stuff's been selling itself online pretty easily. Even during this lockdown now, we've been selling stuff and we're not open.
How are you selling them, Mark?
Well, we're doing it all via online, so people can view pictures. They can ask for a video, so they can do a walk around video. we're putting a deposit on there, a refundable deposit. So when it's safe to do so and we can open back up, people can come and look at the item. If they're not happy, refundable deposit. We're happy to do that because we know that the boom is it's not going away.
Isn't that dangerous though? Let's take, for example, how many vans you got in stock?
We've probably got about 30 at the minute.
Right. How many deposits have you taken?
Probably about 10.
Right. So what happens then when you come out of this lockdown and people turn up and they go, oh, the bed wasn't as big as I thought, can I have my money back? Is that not a dangerous way?
No.
As daft as it sounds, it's probably not a bad thing because there's half a chance that those caravans are going to go up another grand.
Yeah, so it's a difficult one because we could have possibly put the prices up, but so there's that side of it, that if the prices go up another grand and we've kept the prices the same, they've won from it. But we're only trying to make the same margin. But the way that I'm looking at it, I'd rather hit the ground running when we open back up. If they all turn up and go, no, it's not what we wanted, the chances are we can then put them into something else that we have got that they do want. If not, I know that the next day it'll all be sold again anyway. So it's a funny one. I'd also sort of thought about doing click and collect because we can do click and collect at the minute. The problem is, to do that, we've got to get all the staff back, and I don't think it's safe to do that at the minute. I don't think it's safe to get all the staff back in the working environment. 1 or 2 maybe, but I don't think it's the time to get everybody back with the situation at the minute.
Yeah,
it's a new way of selling though. Sorry.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the car dealers have very much embraced it, but motorhomes, it is a bit more difficult, and caravans, obviously, because there isn't the online content out there. A bit like we said with John the other week. With a car, you know every single little door pocket and everything it's got and what it looks like. With a motorhome, those videos and content isn't out there to see that sort of thing. So you do need to touch and feel it.
And again, it's not the same looking at pictures or videos, is it? It's only when you walk in and you get a real feel for what the caravan or the motorhome is like.
It's like a house though, isn't it?
Yeah. First 30 seconds you walk in and you know whether it's the right one or it's not. But the problem is that, like I say, furloughs ending soon. These bigger companies, if they haven't got the stock, there's only one way to go, isn't it? Massive cutbacks, redundancies, and that's just to survive. And if you haven't got the new coming through, you haven't got the part X is coming through, you're not buying second-hand stock. It could be shut doors for a lot of companies. So it'll be an interesting 12 months.
Okay, shall we move on to this?
Unbeatable Hire, yep. Also known as Motorhome Rental with an L. They went. So this is quite an old story, to be fair. So these collapsed, I think, end of 2019, but we're still seeing repercussions of that. There was somewhere between 300 and 400 motorhomes in circulation. So what you did is, Mark's got 35 grand that he wants to invest in a motorhome. He buys that motorhome. He then puts a charge or a mortgage or whatever you want to call it against Unbeatable Hire, who then rent it out. And then Unbeatable Hire will give him a return on his, 35 grand or his motorhome every year, up to 10%, I think it was.
Yeah.
But the problem is they went bust. Everybody's motorhomes were in the company, £7 million worth of debt, and motorhomes were sold allegedly without the customer knowing. So there's now people who bought a motorhome in, say, 2016, give it to Unbeatable Hire to rent out, and they still don't know where the motorhome is.
And the problem is when you do a HPI check, it doesn't come up, does it?
No.
It doesn't show up. It's only when you go into company's house, is it? And do a check through that. So it's a strange one, a real strange one. I only heard about it last year sort of time. So it is an odd situation. I'd never ever dream of doing a check with company's house on a caravan or a motorhome. So it's
scandalous though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we were very fortunate. We bought 3, I think it was in February last year, so not long after they went. But we had a really helpful woman that sold 2 to us, and she just educated me all the way through. So we knew exactly what to look for. Because, like you said, I never thought to have a look on Company's House to see that if it was charged against a company, you wouldn't.
No. It's just not the done thing, is it?
I mean, when I had a look last night, there was 810 charges, I think it was, against the company. So to sort through all of them.
Yeah, but if you were actually, as a dealer, if you're buying the motorhome, would you have to go through all of Company's House to see if there was a charge on it?
Yes.
Now, I'm not talking about this hire company if you were going to buy a motorhome.
Yeah, I think that's the only way that you can do it, isn't it?
It's impossible. How many charges must be on Company House?
Well, I mean, it makes it slightly easier with these because anything that begins with AE.
No, I'm on about saying if you were buying a motorhome in general.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't do. No, you can't do because you've got to search it manually. You can't even put it into the type bar, the chassis number. So if you go on Company's House, for example, with Unbeatable Hire, you go through all the listed charges, all 810 of them, and it's got the chassis number.
Yeah.
On the big list, but you can't search it. You've just got to manually look for it, and you're just not going to do that. It's impossible.
That's what I mean. But so if you're buying a motorhome today, how could you actually go onto Company's House and actually see if there's any charges? There must be millions of charges on Company House.
There's probably millions of businesses on Company's House, let alone millions of charges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
And we're live.
That's the beauty of live.
Are you going to get it?
I'm going to no. Why do we go on to the live today?
Poo of the year. Oh no, Loo of the year. Have you ever heard of this, Loo of the year?
I haven't. No, have you?
How do you get Loo of the year? What are the requirements for the Loo of the year?
I have no idea. Are they clean? Is that what they are? Are they super clean? Have they got like Dyson hand dryers?
I don't know.
And
I know something. Our Loo at work definitely wouldn't get Loo of the year. A lot of animals that we've got at work.
Do you think they have like those bidets and everything like that, or an all-in-one toilet bidet where it squirts you up the bum?
Yeah. You go into the shower, toilet, shower, heated floors, everything all in one. I don't know. I'd like to see one of these Loo of the Years, to be fair. See what I'm missing out on.
Seems a load of crap to me.
It does, doesn't it?
What have we got about Fiat chassis?
I don't know too much about this, but I know that there is a bit of a slowdown in production. Obviously, because it's all to do with parts. Because there's so many elements that go into making a motorhome full stop, let alone the van itself, and they just can't get all the parts to be able to produce.
There seems to be, and it seems to be an awful lot of things out there at the minute, a huge backlog of parts coming from, especially if it's coming from outside of the UK. Actually getting things into the UK at the minute seems an absolute nightmare, and it doesn't seem to be easy. There's loads of just general parts that we've been after, and they're just not available. And we're saying when are they going to be available? Got no idea at the minute. How on earth how do you build items new, especially motorhomes? How do you sort of go, right, we're going to build this many motorhomes, but hang on a minute, we've not got half the parts to build them.
Yeah.
How do you plan for that?
I know, it's a bit like the back end of summer. I think it was with the static motorhomes. They just couldn't get, I think it was the windows they couldn't get hold of. The glass to actually put in the static caravans. So just something like that. You know, they had all these ready-built static caravans, but they just never had the windows for them to send them out.
And that one crucial part, you can't. And again, how do the factories then work on that? Because if you've got a static, a caravan, a motorhome half built sat there and you're waiting for parts, that's taking up space that something else should be coming through the production line. and that's all costing money as well. And again, that doesn't help with the supply and demand continuing forward, does it?
Plus working on reduced staff as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds daft, but me and Jason have found out how difficult it is to even import things at the moment. We just got a couple of accessories from GoPro. What was it, 3-4 weeks to get over? Should have been within about 4 days.
Yeah.
Because of going out of the EU.
That's nothing. Well, mine wasn't coming from the EU, but it still took from November. It was coming from Canada, and I literally received it yesterday. But it sat in customs for 10 days. So it's just ridiculous getting things through at the moment, and I don't think it matters where it's coming from, whether China, America, EU. It's all as bad.
I heard an interesting fact yesterday. 85% of cardboard that's produced in Europe is recycled.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I thought it was quite good. We've got a couple of questions here. We might as well get them in. Are coachmen in production? A friend has a new van on order. Told March delivery. Any of you know?
I don't know about coachmen. I know Bailey are back into producing, but I'm not sure about coachmen. They're a little bit smaller company, so it wouldn't surprise me if they've got parts issues. They might not be. But I honestly, hand on heart, couldn't sort of say, yeah, they're definitely back or they're not. I don't know.
I've got another one here. With what is happening, would dealers start selling their motorhome more expensive or cheaply?
As we said earlier in the show, yeah, it's not just motorhome dealers, it's everybody's going to be selling them more expensive. Some of the most expensive motorhomes or caravans I've seen recently are of private sales.
Yeah. I've seen quite a lot of people where they've bought something 12, 18 months ago, and they're still asking as much as what they paid for it when it was brand new.
Yeah.
And it's...
Yeah. Lee's got the answer to yours, though. I'd expect your Dodge packages to be held in customs, Mark.
Funny, actually.
What have we got about Myriad? Myriad have moved, have they?
They have. They were just not far from me. They're placed just outside Hatton, which is a big old unit as it was, but they've moved to an even bigger one near Toxteth, which I think is another 50% bigger to cope with the demands of the industry, which, as we know and have said, has gone through the roof. Do
you use Myriad, Mark?
Yes. Yeah. Again, getting parts. I'm surprised that they need a bigger warehouse, to be fair, because they've not got half the stuff. They could have downsized.
I guess they can start dealing with other bits and bobs, can't they?
Yeah, look to expand, and I think that's possibly a good for companies that can get the parts out there at the moment. There's a lot of opportunity, isn't there? Huge amounts of opportunity, because the market's never been as big as it is now, and I think it's only going to grow. Fair enough, when things change, it might decrease slightly, but it's still going to be massive compared to what it was.
Well, you look at all the new people coming into it, even if you only keep 50%.
Yeah, it's a huge growth, absolutely massive growth.
Yeah. What's about Bailey? What's happening with Bailey?
So yeah, they've gone back into production. They've not stopped. They've basically said with the amount of orders that they've got, it would be ridiculous for them to not carry on producing. They're confident that as soon as things get back to normal, they can get the vans out there. I know some of the dealers can still take the deliveries from Bailey and what have you. And again, it comes down to that thing that they've only got so much room to hold the vans that they're producing, so they need that straight out the door into dealers' forecourts. And I think a lot of the dealers are saying, well, yeah, we want to take the stuff because as soon as we do open, we want to hit the ground running. So...
yeah, I mean, I have been told that, or I do believe Autosleeper have slowed down as well, or just stopped for a while. They had some works that needed doing. They just thought, well, we'll just hold on till March anyway, and see where it is.
Crazy. Yeah. Shouldn't they be pumping them out?
I said this on previous shows. I think it's borderline criminal what they're doing to the dealers. Because the demand's there, but they're not fulfilling orders.
And then again, this comes back then to the bigger dealers. They need the stuff coming through. They can't survive without the new stuff coming through.
I don't think I agree with you there, Mark. But I think the new stuff has to come out to help the whole industry. Yeah, down to the second-hand market, all the way through, don't it? Really?
Yeah. But then again, it's a full circle again, isn't it? Because if the parts aren't there to make the stuff, a lot of the companies have got to sit there and go, well, hang on a minute, we're going to pay all the staff and all the costs to produce this stuff. We've not got half the parts. We're then going to sit here storing it for how long? So it's a difficult situation. I don't know what the right answer is, in all honesty.
No.
So it's a bleak outlook, but a positive outlook, which is strange, isn't it?
Yeah, we touched this on the show the other night, but I just want to go basically, if I can find it, was this that happened to you? That's scary. We only had a quick on the show because obviously of time, but that was a scary moment, wasn't
it? If I'd realised what had happened at the time, I would have been. Because I'll explain the situation again. So I've driven about 80 miles in that RV, just bought it. Bearing in mind we buy about 25, 30 a month. And that's, I think we've only broke down 3 times in 13 years. 2-3 times in 13 years, so it's pretty good average, to be honest.
That's a hell of a way to break down, though, isn't it? That
I won't even call it breakdown because technically it was still going. That was the problem. But yeah, it came off the M1 junction 26, I think it is, A610 towards Nottingham. A little bit of a rumble, small bit of smoke. When I looked in my wing mirror, I thought, yeah, okay, I'll just get around the corner. I used to work that way, so I knew that there was a lay bar coming up. 3-4 seconds later, this smoke turned into very big, thick black smoke. And probably another 3-4 seconds later, there was flames coming up the front of the windscreen. There's obviously which points you think, I need to stop. However, I'm heading downhill towards a roundabout, and in that lay-bar, there's a load of people just stood there chatting, workmen. Obviously, the first thing the fire's done is rip straight through the brake line, so I've got no brakes. Fortunately, I thought quick enough to put the parking brake on, which is a foot parking brake. And I've managed to stop it just before that lay-bar, because if I never, I'd have been, that fire would have been straight next to them. It's amazing. They never even flinched, these workmen in the lay-bar. They just stood there just watching it coming towards them. I was like, are you serious? And then in the next video that you'll show in a second, you can see the oil tankers going past. People didn't stop. It was amazing. But thankfully, the fire service were very, very good, and I owe them a lot for this. And they're out within about 6-7 minutes.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the final outcome, shall we?
So here we go, the results are in. It's not damp anymore, on a positive note. It's where I was sat when the flames started coming over the windscreen. And that's what happens when you're in a wooden box. Insulation's still there though. And I think that's the LPG tank that made it go up as quick as it did. Very lucky boy.
That could have been a hell of a lot worse, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we talk, we obviously have Lee on the show, but it just shows the importance of getting your motorhome or caravan serviced every year. Luckily, this was owned by a gas engineer. And he taught gas engineering, so he looked after the gas side of things exceedingly well. If not, there could have been big issues, because I reckon that it was running LPG, it's a big old yank, and it just kept feeding the gas through, which is why the flames just kept coming. It just kept igniting it. But get your motorhome caravan serviced every year for health and safety, not just for damp, for health and safety.
Just imagine if that would have been a family. And the panic and sort of trying to get your family out of that. I can't, it's bad enough just for you on your own and sort of, but how on earth would you sort of
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I haven't asked Shane this, but probably you're glad it's happened to me than happening to anyone
somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the first thing I thought is I was under the circumstances, all the stars aligned, because it was me who, I'd like to say, I'm pretty damn switched on in these situations. It's what I do for a job. Driving is one of my positives out of everything I've got. I reacted quickly enough, and there was only me in there. You know, as soon as I managed to get it to stop, because obviously there's no doors at the front of the old A-classes, so it was out the back door. Not that you wanted to go through the front doors anyway. Picked up my bag, ran straight out the back, and stepped well away. But yeah, I wouldn't have wanted some. Just imagine if you had a new driver working for you or something like that was driving it. Hadn't driven anything really like that before, and that happened.
Yeah.
Or if you'd have sold that on, and like I say, if a family had have bought it, and you got a phone call and saying this has happened, it's not even worth thinking about, is it?
No, it's not at all.
It was just a freak accident. I mean, they think it was an electrical fault. You know, nothing you can really do with that. But the problem is electrics are right near the gas line, and that's what happens. I mean, funnily enough, the customer that we bought it from, he'd had it for 10 years, so it was very well looked after and everything like that. He loved it to bits. He knew every single detail like I've never met anybody before of that motorhome, and he was nice enough to fill it full of gas for me the day before. He went out for one last ride with his missus, filled it up with gas, and then handed it over.
What's happening with Lunar Caravans, Mark?
Still don't know. Apparently they're still not paying the staff. They're taking the furlough money. They've not started producing the 21 models. I don't know of any dealers that have took any 21 models or got any information about what's going to come through. Which again is ridiculous. If you're taking over a company and you want to get back on your feet, you've just had the perfect opportunity. But it just, I don't know. They were supposed to be moving to new premises. That all changed, and the premises location on Company's House has now changed again. So yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember this, Mark. So obviously, Lunar Motorhomes went bang a few years ago, didn't they?
Yeah.
There's no more Lunar Motorhomes. Was Lunar Caravans bought out separately, or did that just continue when Lunar Motorhomes went?
No, so it was basically Lunar as a complete whole went bust. Lunar Automotive stepped in and put up a rescue package as such. Said that they were going to take over the company, keep all the staff on, get back into production, and that was last year, beginning of last year. We went into the lockdown, and it just seems like nothing has happened. No staff have been paid furlough since then. From what the whispers are is that they've just been taking the furlough pay, but they've not been paying it to the staff. How true that is, I don't know. They'd supposedly took on a new building, a new factory. That all went by the wayside, and just nothing seems to have happened. So, and they don't seem to be putting anything out there. There's nothing on the website. There's nothing really on the news. There's nothing on any of the forums. The only thing that is really coming out is the staff aren't getting paid. So it's a strange thing to sort of put your money into something to take it on and rebuild the brand, and they've gone backwards. So
yeah, you won't advise anybody to buy a Lunar at the moment, would you?
Yeah, well, that's strange because a lot of people aren't on the used market. It doesn't seem to make any difference. People are still buying the Lunar vans. I think they're looking at it and going, well, actually, you look at all the fridges, the ovens, everything in there. I can get the parts. It's just front panels, back panels, sides, etc. But one of the reasons that they went bust was because of the issues. They had massive issues. They weren't building them for the last 5 years to a good quality, and that was a big thing of why they've gone bust. Bit
like Avondale back in the day.
That's it. Yeah. Avondale and Fleetwood, exactly the same thing. So
Fleetwood, yeah.
Strange times.
So there you go. there's your Motorhome and Caravan news. We'll be back next week, will we?
Yep. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, Sundays at 7:30 p.m. we'll be putting something out, and we've got the new premiere of Legs Down this Sunday.
Yeah, and then I think we're going to probably do a couple of lives with Lee for half an hour, some technical bits.
Yeah, if he's not too busy.
Yeah, probably nice. Probably watching this, isn't he?
He's watching this. He's obviously not busy at all, is he?
Okay, we'll see you next time.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.